best part of this project for me was today, because when we, not just as a sort of symptom of the pandemic, but a lot of times when you record these things, I'm sure you know this if you're in this circle of, this sphere of ink, we don't do it together. And a lot of times, until recently, they didn't have the technology to even play you if other people had been recorded. You didn't hear it. And if you heard it, you didn't hear it while you were recording. You would go into a room and they'd say, oh, just get a sense of what this scene looks like so far with the people we have, or something like that. When I was doing this, I heard nobody. So this was the first time that the cast met in person. That was a lot of fun. It was great, and that's not something you always get to do, and you don't always get to if it's not timed with a festival or a convention or something like that. You don't always, and if it's a one-off like a movie like this, you don't necessarily get to hang. So it's pretty cool to meet everybody, and some of us know each other from other things, but it's great to put the band together.
So, I mean, you're a talented voice actor. You've done superheroes, villains, anti-heroes, what have you. What was it about voicing this character that really got you?
Well, this opportunity was a chance to do something with a character that hasn't been ridden super hard and put away super wet, so to speak. You know, yeah. We mean that about horses, of course. I do.
Not the conventional way.
No, I love horses. This is my horse ring. I love horses. That's how I mean it. So it's a chance to do something original, and the sort of tyranny of a lot of these characters that we've heard so much from, and maybe the beauty too. It's sort of a bug and a feature of the process is that some of these characters have been done over and over again and again, and there's a long lineage of people who have played them and other things, and that's awesome, and there's a place for that, and I'm a fan of so many of those, where you meet somebody and they're like, you're my whatever, because 10 people have done it or whatever it is, right? This one, it's harder to say that with, or say that about, and it's fun to be a part of one of those in a certain way, and Adam Strange is that. And what the authors of this story did, some people have asked me today, like, what's it like, being this villain? And it's like, well, who says he's a villain, right? So even, what's it like to, if they haven't seen it, because not everybody has, obviously, what's it like to wear that suit that he wears? And it's like, how do you know he wears it? And those are all true in this case. So that's what's cool about this one, is that you can't necessarily, if you bring your preconceived notions of the few places that he's reared his head before, that's not what you're going to find here.
Whenever you're approaching a new voice character, where do you start in terms of deciding what they will sound like?
It's different in each case in terms of where I would start, but I can tell you, to tie it to this, when you meet Adam Strange, he hasn't spoken in a long time, and he also isn't very confident and doesn't really believe in himself anymore, and is very much in need of a second chance, and has been traumatized and is weak. And I started with the voice up in the throat a little bit more, and as the story arc went on and he found a little bit more of his center and a little bit more of his confidence and a little bit more of his self-worth and sense of himself, and moved it down a little further into the belly and rounded it out a little more. And whether that reads or not, it was something to put a hook into, to answer your question there.
Yeah, I was wondering, what is the most difficult emotion to convey through just your voice? Because, so many people rely on physicality to also convey emotions, what's the most difficult emotion in your opinion?
Those are all great points that you make, by the way, and if someone were to teach a class in voice acting, if I were to, and I had the opportunity to do things like that in the past and stuff, you don't have the same tools and tricks available to you. You can't, like you guys right now are, that's not there. And maybe it's in the animation, but when you're doing it, in a lot of cases, the animation doesn't even exist, or they can't show it to you, or you're seeing some very rudimentary version of it. I think overall, what's hard, what isn't available to you, and is kind of a theme of this conversation, is the chemistry, because you do it separately. So it's not so much singling out a particular emotion for me in my case. It's finding a place to put a hook into relationships that aren't there. You know, what we're communicating with each other. The thing about being out here today is that there's energy and there's chemistry and there's people reacting to one another and seeing things and feeling things, and there's good groupthink, and there's the good version of you know, sort of mob mentality, if there's such a thing, where everybody's excited. You know, when you go to a baseball, you go to a sporting event or a concert or a convention and you're excited about something, people feel it. When you work alone, you have to create all of that in your head, and the thing that's always missing, or often is missing when you work alone, is feedback.
Well, especially for an actor like yourself that's been in the business for a long time, that, you know, you have such an incredible resume.
Wow.
I've been a fan, I can't even tell you how long.
Really? Thank you.
But do you...
When I was a teeny bopper?
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah.
Wow.
I think we're probably about the same age, but it's, do you prefer animation to, or the voiceover rather, animation to actually acting, you know, like regular acting, I guess, or live action? Thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
I like that it's a niche that I was able to find in my particular case. You know, a whole new career and a whole new place, and I tried really hard for a number of years to get involved in the voiceover side of the industry, and I wasn't successful in getting anybody to hear that and give me a chance. And when I finally did, things began to work out, and it's always been fun, and I've liked having an opportunity to do something, because when I was younger, I conveyed characters, and a lot of it had to do with a certain look that I had and other things, and it's nice to be able to play parts that aren't necessarily limited to or rooted in that kind of a thing. Not all these characters have blue eyes.
So do you think that, it's voice acting is a little free?
I think so. I think voice acting is again, it's a trap if you can't do it, because you're gonna get lost in there. But if you're good at it, it offers you an opportunity to play parts that your physicality may or may not, people may not associate it with a particular role or cast you in a particular role. We're at a very interesting place in the industry where people are looking to find people who really authentically represent a particular group or a particular ethnicity or language or origin, and I think that's also very interesting, and that has had a very profound effect on the industry over the last few years as well. But I still think, even with all of those specifics being brought to bear to the process, if this makes sense, that you still don't have to look exactly like what someone might expect or what the character is drawn like, whatever that means. So it really does kind of transcend and break some of the boundaries that you may be stuck with in your, physical representation. Yeah.
As Jessica Rabbit said, I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way.
Totally. That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, we're here at Comic-Con, and it's celebrated with all sorts of fandoms. What fandom would you say that you're a part of?
Wow. Well, for me, if you're asking what I'm a big fan of, if you mean it that way, I grew up like I said in the beginning of this, but I grew up watching the Super Friends and the Justice League, so not just because that's what we're talking about primarily in my case here today. It's pretty cool to be involved in that universe, and that's how, my earliest memories of watching cartoons are rooted there. The superhero I watched in live action on TV was the Incredible Hulk, and I still, to this day, when I hear that music, it's just, I'm possessed by it. As soon as I hear it,
We'll play for you when you walk up.
Yeah, exactly. But So I'm a huge fan of the Hulk, and he's done so many versions by Fred Tatasciore, and I've had the pleasure of working with Fred on a lot of things, and also consider him a friend, and I hope he feels the same way. But I love the Incredible Hulk. I'm also a huge $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah.
This is all 70s stuff. I'm possessed by that music and that show opening as well. Anyone who was around for that was. So, yeah.